Hello, everybody. It is me here with Christian Johnson, your Chief Strategy Officer here today. Miss Johnson is out at a conference and she's coming in from town, so I stepped in today to be the moderator. And for our guest speaker here, we have a guest speaker, Emmanuel Burke, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself and say hello and kind of introduce his position and who he is, and then we're gonna get into the business basics and business banking basics. And here's Emmanuel Burke. Let's listen to him and see what he has to say.
I thought about saying business banking basics real fast 3 times.
I know, right?
But
I'm nervous and I'm trying to get myself together, trying to say it, because reading it is one thing, but saying it.
no, seriously. I've been over here just like waiting for the camera to start, just like, oh Lord, come on, man. But
Yeah.
so my name's Emmanuel. I've been in banking for about 6 years now. I was in the Army for 6 years, and then after that, when I got out, I was like unloading trucks for 12 hours a day. And then one day I applied to work at a bank, and by God's grace, I got the job. And then fast forward, I've been doing pretty well so far. I was able to make good living, move out to Richmond, Virginia, and I make pretty decent money. So now I just try to take the information I gain and just help out our community, the underserved, and things to that nature.
So how long have you been in banking?
You froze on me. 6 years.
6 years. Okay, 6 years. All right. So you are the banking expert here today, and also tapping into your role on ITB and your role with ITB.
So I've been a board member with ITB for about 2 years now. I met Miss Evelyn at a library event. We kind of just connected. I met her, I think maybe even like 2, 3 days later. And then we talked, we prayed. What's crazy is she's believed in me so much so far. I kind of just never want to let her down in any facet. So I try to show up as much as I can when I can. Work doesn't always permit that, but I do what I can with the time I have.
That's good. That's good to hear. And you're on our board, working on our board, and helping us and keeping us connected with all the banks in the area, and keeping us connected with our
Don't say that.
Oh, no.
I can't. I'm technically, we'll be on the low about that one.
Well, on the low, he is helping us.
I'm not like a sleeper cell for other banks, no.
No. He is definitely a mentor in banking for us, and in teaching us how to pretty much teaching us how to have good relationships with banks and how to develop our relationships with banks. So you are our banking expert here. You've been in it for 6 years. You know more than I do. So I'm very thankful to have you on our team and have you on board with us.
But I would definitely say though, when it comes to banking, we'll get into it though. Like when you say I know more than you, banking changes like every day. Like one thing that's consistent about banking is the change. Every day is something new. I learn something new every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But continue. I'm sorry.
But no, you continue, because I can't even stand with it myself. So you're in it every day. So you see the changes that happen every day. And as we go through the PowerPoint, I'm sure you're going to talk about the different changes and how banking changes. But from somebody from the outside in marketing, I probably couldn't even really understand the changes that happen every day, because I'm probably not thinking about it the way you're thinking about it and seeing it the way you're seeing it. So you could elaborate on it, and then once you elaborate on it, we'll head right into the PowerPoint, and then we can just start from there and then move forward. But elaborate on what you mean by it changes every day? Banking changes every day.
Well, I'm looking at it from like the employee perspective, or like the operations, or what's allowed, what's not allowed. Like, say we push one product for a very long time, and then out of nowhere they're like, hold on, stop, we can't do this anymore, so now we have to find something else. And then you have to find the balance between product pushing and problem solving. What helped me be like successful is not being a product pusher. Like, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not a salesman. I'm just honest, and I try to be as transparent as I can. And I try to put my clients in the best situation, the best position. I never want to just be like, um, you want a savings account, so here's a savings account. But are you thinking about a return or possible investment, anything like that? How much money do you want to put in your savings account, or do you want to block it away in a CD? Or do you want to set up an IRA? Things of that nature. So it's about having those conversations and building those relationships, not just banker to client, but client to banker. The client needs to be able to ask certain questions too. I think you need to go into any conversation, especially somebody handling your money. You need to be informed with who you're working with. Sometimes people just walk into ABC Bank. I don't know if there is an ABC Bank. I'm just saying ABC Bank. They just walk into an ABC Bank and they're like, "Oh, it's a bank, so I'm just gonna put my money here." But you need to be informed before you go into any situation. And a lot of times we act impulsively, or we get our first paycheck and we're just like, "Oh, I can open a bank account." And then you go to Joe Schmo's bank, and now you're not getting the best that you can. So, yeah.
Well, I think that for me, some of those terms that you had used, like I don't necessarily know those terms, but it's good to have somebody. It's good to have somebody like you at the table who can actually sit and explain certain things and explain when you put your money into a bank, how you can put your money into the bank, and I guess how you can invest it in different ways that, again, somebody that is just a business owner or entrepreneur or just a regular person might not know. They come to you seeking that guidance, and it's good that you are there to kind of guide them through the process, because like you said, you go to ABC Bank and they could be telling you one thing and it could be not honest, not be coming from an honest place, or it could be something that's disingenuous and it's not something that's beneficial to the actual bank account holder. So it's good that you are talking our language. Of course, that's why we have you on our team, because you know how to talk that talk and you walk the walk. So
yeah, I can code switch with the best of them.
Well, don't say that. No,
I already said it, and it's you know how it is. It's you know how.
Yeah, I know for people that look like us, it's necessary. But let's not give them all our secrets. Let's not give them all our secrets. But let's get into this webinar. So we're doing today the topic, of course, again, if you're just hopping on, it is business banking basics. Just going over the basics of banking. And so Emmanuel, this is your slide. You created them. I'll just be asking questions as we go along, and taking questions in from our from people who are watching live. So you go ahead and get us into the importance of a business plan.
All right, so this is pretty much just everything that we're going to go over. We already did the introduction. Now we're going to go over the importance of a business plan. Then it'll be the 5 business questions you should ask your banker, 5 accounts every business needs, information you should have ready for lender, the 5 C's of lending, and then after that, just any questions, comments, concerns. You know how it is. So we can go to the next slide.
All right.
And if anybody's looking at the template and they're just like, "Man, this looks so good. This, I stole it. I took it off PowerPoint. It was already there. I just put my information on it." So, but yeah, you can go to the next slide. The importance of the
We got you.
So the importance of the business, it says, it shows what the business is and what it will be projected to be. Shows the bank what level of risk you and your business might be. So that's saying, like, what are you looking for? What are you asking for? How much money are you going to need to to execute your business. And what is your business? Did you study the market? Do you feel confident in the market? Do you have the capital to start your business? Most banks and lenders require you to provide a business plan. So when you come looking for a loan or anything like that, we would like to see that. We'd like to see what your plans are. We'd like to see that if you actually took time, wrote it out, executed. Um, and then at the same time, if it's just you or you have a team, it keeps you and your team focused on the main objective. So when you feel like you're straying away from your actual business, you can always go back to your original business plan. And if you feel like you're making any changes in your business, you can always, go back and make any corrections or amendments, I guess, to your business plan. But I think it is just good to have. Well, I know it's good to have to take that with you to any bank or lender and just be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I need. This is what I like. And then you and your banker or lender or team, you go over it together so that you guys can come with a consensus. You never want to go into something and someone just tell you what to do, or you go into a situation at the bank or with whoever, and you have the best idea in the world, but when you say it out loud to someone, they're like, hold on, let's take it back. Let's go over this together to ensure that we're doing this the right way. And that's why I teamed up with ITB, because they can help assist with making business plans for you. And then, and then me being a banker, I can go over it with you as well. And then to see if it's a good idea or a good plan or what we need to change or what are we looking for. Does it need more? This is like my favorite word, like specificity,
Say that 3 times fast.
I know I'm not. You embarrass yourself. I'm not going to do that. No. But yeah, that's the importance of a business plan. There's more to it. I do plan on doing more courses like this, so this is just going to be a small introduction. The more I do this, the deeper I'll go into things. Just right now, this is to get the small business owners, their brains flowing, kind of directing them on how to think, how to approach, looking for funding or just open business accounts, things like that.
I have a question for you real quick. Mind if I hop in? I got a question. So we were having some conversations today with our Langston team that came in, and the conversation of business plans came up, and I guess in nowadays, in the past, I think business plans were more. I don't want to say they were more important, but it seems like today business plans are not. It's not, for some people, they might not see it as a need. They might not understand that it's necessary to have. And they might think that having a business plan, you might only use it to go to a bank and approach a bank about funding. And shoot, instead of having a business plan, an individual or entrepreneur might choose to instead have a pitch deck. So from a banker's position, how could you, like, what would be the best way for entrepreneurs to explain to entrepreneurs that the importance of actually having a business plan, not just for banking, but just as an entrepreneur, the importance of just having a business plan?
Now, so I'm going to use a sports analogy, I guess. So I think the greatest basketball player of all time is Michael Jordan.
Okay.
If you feel it's LeBron or Kobe or whatever, that's fine.
I don't have a dog in the fight.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
But what makes them great is they mastered the fundamentals. So if you master the fundamentals and you conquer the basics, then you can stack on top of that and keep going. So I'm a huge believer in business plans because you can get in depth. You can break it down to a T. I've never seen a pitch deck, but I would assume it's virtually the same thing. But I just believe it's how much detail you put into it. That's what really matters. I don't care what you call it. But do you have a plan? Do you have a way to execute it? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have a guide? That's pretty much how I look at it. Master the fundamentals and everything else will fall into play. Just come prepared to whatever meeting you're going into. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. All right. That's I think that's the best way to put it, because like I said, we were having conversations and the business plan conversation did come up earlier. And I know in the incubator we have a lot of individuals who some of them will actually go through each page of their business plan, and like you said, make changes, make amendments, change things that might not fit to what they specifically need, but change it so that it fits exactly to what they in the language that they might need it at. Even though the business plans ITB do are extensive and are complete business plan. We sometimes get business plans and they just 4 pages, 5 pages. And is that extensive enough? As if somebody approached you with a 4 or 5 page business plan, do you think that's extensive enough?
I guess well, for one, I guess it depends on the font size. And then two, uh, but it just depends upon the business. Like, what is your business? Is it a lemonade stand? Is it an ice cream truck? Or is it a law firm? If it's a law firm, I would expect it to be more than 4 to 5 pages. But it all just depends on what you're trying to do, and if you feel that you were thorough enough when you wrote it down. That's why I started off saying you need to get another set of eyes on there.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Your banker isn't to turn you away. It's to let's get you to the next step. Like, we may not be able to get what you want today, but let's put you
Mhm.
in a position where you can get it tomorrow, next week, next month. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
come to us for the advice, or go to whoever. But it's just we got to be practical. We got to be realistic, and you need to be thorough. It's simple, man. Like, we keep running away from the basics, and we keep trying to microwave everything. Like, no, man, set the oven at 350, preheat it. You know what I'm saying? Let it bake, and then let's
Mhm.
get to that point. Don't just throw some garbage out there, because that's a lot of times it is. People come in with great ideas with no plan of execution, and that's a bad look.
Mhm.
Appearances matter, and especially here, we know what that means. You got to look the part at least. That's
Mhm.
50% of it. If you're just throwing some stuff on the wall and expect it to stick, that's just not how it works. So yeah, you want to be thorough. You want to be taken seriously, even if you're turned down. You're like, nah, this guy or this woman knows what they want. They just need a little assistance here and there. But if you just write some BS down, like, we're gonna know. That's.
I got,
So
Emmanuel, I think you hitting it right on the head, because that you hitting it right on the head because look, you know, and ours are extensive. And again, we're gonna put that little blurb in there to say if you need one, if you need a business plan, an extensive one, y'all know who to call. Y'all know, call us, and we'll get it done. But let's go on to this next slide. And Emmanuel, you go ahead and take us through this slide.
all right, so this one is the 5 business questions to ask your banker and 5 accounts needed for every business. Now let's keep it real. Um, some of these questions may, pertain to you, some of them may not, but I think these are like where you can grow. It doesn't even necessarily have to be these exact questions, but it gives you an idea of where to start. So it's like, what competitive banking services do you offer? So it's like, compared to CBA Bank, um, sorry, excuse me, but compared to one bank to the next, what do you offer? How can you compete with them? What are your rates compared to theirs? Do you offer 4.25% on the money market, or do you offer 3.25%? Do you offer free treasury services, or do you charge for your treasury services? Treasury services are things of like remote deposit capture for checks, ACH origination, things like that. The next question: what are the minimum balance requirements and the minimum maximum transactions allowed before being charged? So the minimum balance requirements, I'm 1,000% sure that whoever's watching, they've been hit with a charge because they didn't maintain a balance in their account. Either they weren't aware of it or they just simply weren't paying attention. So that's a question that needs to be asked, because nobody wants to give away their money. You work hard for your money. You don't want to just give it away because you weren't paying attention, or they didn't go over the documentation with you. You always want to make sure they go over the documentation with you. You see it, you read it before you sign anything. that goes back to the fundamentals. You just don't, your mom and dad tell you, make sure you read it before you sign it. And I know we're the new adults now, and it's hard for us to make our own doctor's appointments, but we still got to read, the documentation before you sign. And then the minimum maximum transactions allowed before being charged. So a lot of times, especially with small business accounts, you have a limit of transactions to have. Sometimes it's like 200 free transactions, and then anything after that, you'll get charged, say, 50 cents per transaction, whether it be a withdrawal, a deposit, cutting a check, a wire, things like that. So those are questions you need to ask. How to assess my cash flow. So you want to, like, am I speaking to a business banker? What can we do to see how my cash is flowing? Or do you offer any products that show me how my cash flow is going? Like, do you have anything like QuickBooks or something to that nature? What types of small business loans are available or offered? Do you offer lines of credit? Do you offer just plain on loans? What are the requirements for those loans? And then the next question is, can you and are you willing to grow with me? And that goes back to the question of, I'm losing my train of thought. But so it goes back to when I said you're not supposed to just be turned away by your banker. Your banker is supposed to look for solutions with you, communicate with you on those next steps. So can you grow and are you willing to grow? Because can I? Sure. But am I willing to? Who knows? So the person, you need to ask them, like, hey, we didn't get this done today, but what do we need to do to get this done tomorrow? And you want to build that rapport with your banker. The banker wants to build that rapport with you because it's about the relationship. I'm going to keep it completely honest with you guys. 99% of the time, banks offer the same stuff. It's just, who are you willing to work with? What are they willing to do for you? Those things matter. Of course, location and all of that. But some people will drive an extra 20 minutes because they would rather work with Emmanuel versus working with Chris. Chris is my middle name, so that's what I use. Don't think Chris is somebody out there. But so, it's about how you carry yourself. Well, it's about how that banker carries himself. It's about how you carry yourself. And did you guys build that rapport? Did you feel comfortable talking to that person? You may feel comfortable dealing with someone else. You know how it is. You go somewhere, you're expecting such and such to be there, and they're like, hey, where did they go? Oh, they went to work at somewhere else. And there's like, oh, man, like now I got to talk to this new guy. But Are you willing to give that new guy a chance, or are you going to take your money, or are you going to go to the other bank? That's just how it goes. It's literally about relationships. If you were to go on any job site, I guess like Indeed or LinkedIn, a lot of times what they call bankers are personal bankers, relationship bankers, because it's about building that rapport. It's about being comfortable with one another. Because if I don't know an answer for you, can I get that answer for you tomorrow? Can I find out for you? Can I point you in the right direction? Or do I just tell you, nah, bro, I can't do it? So those are the things that matter. And like I said earlier, these slides are to kind of help you just like, how do I think in a sense of walking into a bank or choosing a bank or doing my research for who do I want to work with? Am I advertising myself? I might be, but I'm not, So the next part is the 5 accounts needed for every business. So when you start off, most of us, we don't start off with enough money to open 5 accounts. But when we get to that point, you want your operations account, you want your cash reserve account, which is your savings, your payroll account, tax reserve account, because you know how that goes, and then the marketing and expansion account. And now all of these should go back to your business plan. The cash reserve account, you want at least 3 to 6 months of savings in there just in case of emergencies. The payroll account, obviously you need to pay yourself and you need to pay your employees, and you don't want that all mixed up and jumbled up because that causes an issue when tax time arrives. Tax reserve account, you want money put aside for when it's time to pay your taxes, And then your marketing and expansion. For a lot of small businesses, that might be like bottom of the totem pole. Like, look, man, we're good where we are. So you might only need 4. You might only need 3 accounts. But these are the 5 accounts that I think would suit most of us small business owners. operations account is a given, but a lot of times the issue, and I've seen it a lot, people will use their operations account. They'll pay people out of it. They pay themselves out of it without actually paying themselves. They just take their business debit card and go to the grocery store with it, and then that can cause an issue. Especially like say you're a nonprofit account and you have to keep track of where those funds go, and then they see that you're spending your money on your groceries, or you're buying gas for your own personal vehicle and not for work. So these are the accounts I recommend everyone should open. Now, obviously, you need to work towards those unless you just have it like that from the beginning. We can go to the next slide, unless you have questions or comments. Or
yeah, I was going to ask questions. So about those 5 different accounts that you need. So for somebody starting out, if they're just starting out from scratch, they're probably not going to have all 5 of those accounts. Now, if somebody did start out and had all 5 of those accounts, are they setting these accounts up with the same bank, or would somebody set these up with 5 different banks, have 5 different relationships with different banks? What would be the best way to go about that for somebody starting out to have?
So that goes back to what we were. So that goes back to the relationship piece. So if you're comfortable bringing all 5 accounts to one bank, go ahead and do that. But it's not a requirement. A lot of times people believe that they have to bank at the same spot as the rest of their accounts, and it's simply not true. It's a free market. You can go wherever you want. But it just depends on who you're comfortable with, who you want to work with. Me personally, I have an account with USAA. I have an account with but most of my accounts are with Navy Federal. I like seeing all my stuff under one umbrella. They're different accounts, but I can see all of them under one thing. So some people like to work like that. Some people like to they'll keep their cash reserve account completely separate at another location so they never see it, because some people like to eliminate that temptation. So it all depends. Me personally, I like to see everything under one umbrella because I'm not trying to go all over the place. But it's not a requirement that you bank specifically at one place. You can go wherever you want, whatever's comfortable for you.
And typically, what year of business of operation does a business attain the goal of having these 5 different accounts if they're not coming in with funding already?
Typically around year 2 or 3. That's like when you're like, oh man, we made it. You know what I'm saying? And that's when the money really starts flowing. That's when you, as a business owner, you have a groove. You're possibly looking to expand a little bit because business has picked up. You know this, Christian. A lot of times businesses don't make it past year 3. So if you get past, year 2, year 3, that's when you start seeing businesses start to open more accounts for different things. And then the bigger the business is, the more complex it can get. But that's for another day.
Okay. So what you're saying
talking about sweep accounts and enterprise and stuff like that. So.
Oh no, I'm fine with it. Be as specific as you need, because you talking to ITB people too. You talking to ITB people. These 5 accounts, like that marketing expansion account, that's gonna be my account. That's gonna be the account I got access to.
But the thing is just, let's just be realistic. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
if you're just starting out, let's get that operations and that cash reserve account first. Set something up where you're showing that you're paying yourself as the business owner. Don't just take all the money out and be like, hey, I did good this month. You know what I'm saying? The business needs to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why what we encourage LLC is limited liabilities. Like, it's a separation between you and the business. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna head on to the next slide here. And this is information you should have ready for lenders.
Yeah. So the information you should have ready for lenders goes back to our business plan. Typically, if you're looking for a loan, they're going to ask for your tax returns the last 2 to 3 years of tax returns and financial statements. The collateral, personal and business credit reports. Be honest with yourself and the lender. So a lot of times, and I put that there because I've done underwriting in the past, and people will sit at the desk and I'm like, hey man, how's your credit looking? And they're gonna be like, I got like 645.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pull it up and it's a 480. Now, typically and I have it on the right, it says minimum credit score for most banks is between 620 and 650. So the last thing we want to do is waste our time and waste your time. Now, we can pull your credit still, but what I recommend is that you be upfront about it so that we can put you in a position to get your credit fixed before we even go down the road of a loan. Now, you can find, there might be certain credit unions and those finance places, but they charge an arm and a leg. Like the interest starts at 30%, and now you're stuck with a $700 payment for the next 15 years, and you don't want to be put in that position. So be honest with yourself and be honest with the lender. And now DTI no higher than 36%. Depending on where you go, they might say 40. From my experience, we prefer it to be 36 and less. Typically 30 is the best. I put on the side here debt to income ratio. That's what DTI is. It's all your monthly debt payments, and then divide by your monthly income, and then you'll get a percentage of where you stand. And then forms of collateral can consist of cash, investments, heavy machinery, equipment, and real estate. So I'll use a real estate example, like a home equity line of credit, or collateral. You can put your car up as collateral. So it's a form of backup in case you don't pay the loan. And we'll get into that. I'm not sure if it's the next slide or not, but and we'll get further into that too. But yeah, any questions, comments?
Yeah, because my question is going to be on that collateral, the collateral question, because if somebody, and this is collateral for their business, you can put your own personal assets or your own home up for your business as collateral, as an example.
So I've seen, and a lot of times it's stipulations and stuff like that in the loan, and it depends on who the lender is. I've seen lenders get real creative to get loans approved. So I've seen all types of forms of collateral. People use cows before as collateral. People use like cows that were giving birth, like they were like whatever a baby cow is called. They were like, hey,
a calf.
This can be used as collateral. I've seen all time. It depends on where you are. Depends on the bank and how flexible and creative they're willing to get. Typically, like a smaller bank that's starting out, they may be the more creative. Typically, like your bigger banks that we see, they may have like a strict guide of what can be used as collateral. But those are things that you should look up before you even go call the bank, ahead of time, just to see like, hey, what can be used as collateral? I'm looking for a loan. I've applied for loans in the past and I was turned down immediately because it said I didn't have collateral, but it never even mentioned anything about what could I use as collateral. So that's something that the consumer should look into. Call the bank ahead of time, do your due diligence, and do your research and find out, hey, what can I use as collateral? Can I put up $300,000 of cash for this loan? Or, because sometimes you'll put money in a savings account and they'll lock a specific amount of money away for a loan until it's paid back. So it just depends on who you're working with. But typically, those are the forms of collateral that you'll see. The heavy machinery, the equipment, real estate, investments, cash.
And that changes.
I've seen people use life insurance policies. So,
I didn't even know this. So is there ever an instance where maybe could labor be considered collateral?
Labor?
Yeah, I'm only asking that because
1800-ish.
that's the only reason I'm asking that is probably because I saw it in the video in Red Dead Redemption, and he did something, and he was like, and went to the bank and he got a loan for actually doing something physical. So I'm like, today, is that still a thing? Are there banks?
I've never seen that. That sounds more like a quid pro quo situation than like, yeah. I've
Yeah, I don't know.
never
You talking about
never seen
cows, so
labor.
I don't know. Is it any banks in rural areas that's giving out loans for stuff like that? I don't know.
I don't
That's
know.
what
I'll look it up. I'll look out like for real. I'll find out. I'll ask tomorrow.
yeah,
I'm like, hey, can we use labor? It might get deeper than we think.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably not that far fetched. But we did have
No.
a question come in. It says is there an actual business credit score?
Yeah. So a lot of times now it depends on the how long you've been in business for. But a lot of times they'll take in your personal credit score if say you've been in business for like a couple of months. But yes, there is a business credit score. That is one of the reasons why you have an EIN. So they can use your EIN to pull your business credit. So yeah.
Okay.
And then they're gonna look at financials, like not just credit score alone can get you approved for a loan. Sometimes you can have a 630 credit score, but your financials are good enough where we can be like, all right, this guy can pay this loan. And then you have the guy who has a 750 credit score, but the only credit history he has is a $3,000 credit card from when he was 16 years old or
Hmm.
18 years old.
Yeah. And typically,
So
how long does it
the
take?
credit history plays a factor.
Typically, how long does it take to
I usually say give it
bring up your credit score?
typically like it all goes down to like 2 to 3 years. Like I've done applications where somebody who's been in business for 2 years and the bank required that we still got their personal credit score as well. Um, so yeah, every bank has its own guidelines, on how they do things. Some are real strict, some are very flexible, some don't even do loans anymore. So yeah.
All right. So let's get into this next slide here. It's the 5 C's of lending. I think this might be your last. Is this your last slide?
I believe so. Then
I
I believe
think
after this is
let me
like the
see.
questions and
Here in
comments.
this
So
question and comment. Yep.
yeah.
So the 5 C's of lending.
So the first one is capacity. So that is, does your business generate enough cash flow to repay the loan in full? So that is why we will look at your financial statements and your tax returns. We want to see like, all right, this guy he asking for $100,000, but he's only making $20,000 a year with his business. And if you throw in expenses, it's like so he's bringing in what actually? He's bringing in what $6,000 at the end of the year. Now that's extreme, but at the same time, those situations exist. Um, and the capital, how much are you invested into the business? Did you put yourself at risk? That lets the lender know that you have skin in the game. So did you invest your own money into the business? Are you willing to put your own money up for the loan as well? And that will show the lender like, hey man, this guy's serious. He really wants to get this done for his business. We can consider that when during the underwriting process. Collateral, like we just spoke of earlier, a backup plan for the lender if repayment cannot be made. So yeah, see, it's a backup plan for the lender if repayment cannot be made. So I don't think labor would even be legal as like collateral. Like, hey, he didn't pay it back. You got to go mop these floors for the next four, 4 or 5 years. Um, the conditions, how big of a risk are you? Are you operating under ideal conditions? How big of a risk is so that goes into your DTI, that goes into your credit score, that goes into your payment history, that goes into your capacity. Are you operating under ideal conditions? Is business flourishing for you right now? Or did you just start? Did you hit a rough patch? What's going on? And then the character. Lenders need to see a history of constant and consistent repayments of debts. If you're looking for a loan, but when we pull that credit report and we see that you defaulted on 6 or 7 loans in the past, off rip, we're going to say no.
Mhm.
Now, there are other places out there that will try to find a way to maybe consolidate all of that debt and help you out. But is that what you're looking to do at that time? What I always recommend is for people to pull their credit report and go back and pay off whatever they owe
Yeah.
to to get that cleared up.
Mhm.
So a lot of times, and I'm just going to say this, people in business and small business owners, they blame the banks for a lot of things. Like they're like, hey, the bank stole from me, or they didn't express this. It's a two-way street. You need to make sure you do your due diligence before you do anything, because the person you're working across from is also human. They can make mistakes as well. Now they need to do their job to their best ability, yes. But will mistakes be made sometimes? Sure. But at the same time, we need to make sure is who I'm working with credible. What's their history with business accounts? How long have they been doing it? What's their history with loans? What are the fees? Because people, like I said, like at the very beginning, no one wants to pay bank fees. This is your money. Why would I want to pay these fees? What can I do to avoid it to the best I can? Because the bank wants your money. Like they want you to put. We don't want to lose $1 million deposit because you got charged a silly fee. You know what I'm saying? The bank wants that money. They want to keep you. They want to keep growing that money because it helps everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a consumer, just make sure you do your due diligence as well. Do your research. Look up who you want to go to. Don't just go somewhere and be like, "All right, I got a bank account now." That's how a lot of times people fall in those traps. And then I should have titled this like relationship banking, but it's literally just like build the relationship with your banker. Get comfortable with your banker. You want to do the best you can with what you have, but you also want that banker to be able to take what you have and help you maximize it. That's the goal. That's ideal. It's not just to to check the box, be a number. Like we want to sit down, we want to watch you grow. We want to succeed. I want to succeed. I want to get my bonus during Christmas time. You know what I'm saying? And you want to you want to get presents and gifts for your kids, your siblings, your loved ones. So it's a two-way street. Everybody needs to do their part. But as the consumer, just make sure before you go into any situation that you are doing your due diligence and you're getting the right answers. Even if you don't get them that day, make sure you get them some time before you make a commitment. Or if you have to sit there with the banker for an hour and a half, chop it up. You know, so those things matter. Do your due diligence. That's the biggest thing I can say. And I've done this class in the past. I made some changes a little bit. Like the slide looks way more professional, but like I said, I just stole it from PowerPoint. But whatever. And but yeah, that's the goal. Do your due diligence. Work with ITB because they will definitely help you get your business plan together, and they'll point you in the right direction. They'll tell you, "Hey, we bank with them. They suck. Hey, they're better over here," because they'll get down to your level, or I will get down to your level. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about relationships. It's all about communication, and understanding what you're doing, understanding yourself and your business. So a lot of times people have these great ideas, but are you honest with yourself? Like, are you going to execute this idea that you have? So, it's not just about the business aspect, it's about the personal aspect, it's about what's your drive, what are you willing to do to get to that point. But I digress. We can go to the next spot of questions and comments.
Yeah, so the next slide is questions, and we have a few questions in here. And I have a few questions myself that some other people might have as well. But so one question is, do banks loan based on your industry, such as medical businesses? Are they more likely to get a loan versus a lucrative industry?
Medical business?
I mean, less lucrative industry.
Some banks have specific loans for specific industries. Like I've seen doctor loans. Yeah, I've seen doctor loans. Like if you're talking about medical industry, but they're not going to simply discriminate because like, oh, he's a construction worker or this person cleans shoes. Like if you qualify, you qualify, and if you don't, you don't. And if you don't qualify, our goal is to get you to the point where you can qualify. They're not going to discriminate against you simply because of what your business is. And if they do, shame on them, because that's asinine, because you never know who has that $1 billion idea.
Yeah.
But I've never seen someone get turned down because their idea was to scrape cracks out of concrete. I mean, so.
I again, you would know, you would be the inside person more than me. So a question that I have. So working with a big bank. So if a small business, for small businesses, would you suggest small businesses working with smaller, more local banks, or going to your typical Truist or your Bank of Americas, those type of banks? Which banks would you suggest small businesses working with?
For professional reasons, I can't suggest anything.
Oh yeah, as off the cuff. Well, let's just say, when I say anybody specific, but as a small business, not for anybody specifically, would you suggest working with a smaller bank or a more notable bank for small business banking?
Well, if you're, I would say this: if you're local, come work with me. But but honestly, it just depends. Like, it all goes back to what I was saying throughout the entire presentation: is who do you feel comfortable with? What's the most convenient situation for you? Like I said, I've seen some smaller banks be more creative with their lending. I've seen some bigger banks be more strict. But it all just depends on what's best for you. I can't tell you whether to go with a smaller or bigger bank, because and then it depends on the bank's capacity to get what you are looking for. Maybe that bank caps out at a specific loan limit that doesn't reach your goal. Like, maybe you need 500,000, but they'll stop at 250,000. So that goes back to just like, hey, do your due diligence, do your research, and find out exactly who you want to bank with, who you want your business, who you want to hold your business funds, who wants to give you that advice, who wants to help you grow your business. It all just depends. You can find any manual at one of the bigger banks, or you can find any manual at one of the smaller banks. It just depends. Sometimes it's luck of the draw, but sometimes, luck favors those who luck favors the bold. Or even I knew what I was saying before I said it, but y'all get the gist. Y'all can Google the quote and you're like, oh, he knew what he was talking about.
But yeah, we know what you're talking about. Yeah. we got you.
But yeah.
So I think the overall theme for this is definitely different from the last time. And I think it shows you as an individual how you have changed over this time with your relationship with banking as well. And I think what a lot of people miss, exactly what you said earlier, is the relationship piece. Everybody thinks about, in terms of banking, when people think of banking, it's just like money, money, money. They want to make money, 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 money. But that's, of course, their bottom line. But the relationship is also just as important, and developing the relationships with your bankers and your bank, and being transparent with your bank is just as important. I think that was the theme of this entire webinar, just relationship building. We do have another a question. Can you find out what credit company a bank pulls credit from before applying for a loan?
You said, can you?
Yeah, can you find out what credit company?
So you can call and you can ask, like, who do you use? Like, some banks will use Equifax, some will use TransUnion, I think. So yeah, you can call and ask.
So if somebody wants to check their credit themselves, they would call and check their credit and see their credit score prior to them coming into the bank and them running the credit there too.
You can. And then you also have Credit Karma. I don't recommend using them sometimes.
I use Credit Karma, so I don't have.
Yeah, I use Credit Karma. I thought I was doing all right. Then I used the credit app that was on the bank's app, and yeah, I wasn't as good as I thought I was. But that was about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
because I was in the military, so I was moving around, so it was a lot of stuff I just kind of either forgot about or didn't know I had. So I had
Yeah.
to go back and pay those things off. But
Mhm.
um,
And it takes time, like you said, it takes 1 to 2 years to build that up and then get into a position to build that up and build your credit up. So credit is just as important. And so does the bank have those in-depth conversations about credit, or would a bank then refer an individual to a credit specialist?
so a lot of times, depending on the in depth of the underwriting or who you're or their underwriting process, like say I can do it in front of you, they'll
Mhm,
have a deeper conversation. But or say um, they have a centralized lending team where they gather the information and send it up. You may not have that in depth conversation, but if you sit down with someone who's you know they can break down how to fix your credit and all that, yeah, they probably will have to say I'm not a credit like I'm not labeled as the credit expert, but I can get that information for you. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? It's just like no, I can't use that example. Never mind. But it's just um, it all goes down. I sound like a broken record, but it literally just boils down because I've worked with a separate entity before, and we got real deep into people's credit, and then I worked with
mhm,
another financial institution, and we didn't get as deep as we could have. So it just
mhm,
goes down to who you're working with again, and just looking up like, hey, how do you do this? What are the rules here? What are the rules there? What's the minimum I need to have this? What do I qualify for? And everything's tiered. So if you land in a specific like credit spot, it will tell you what your rate will be.
mhm.
Well, they're supposed to tell you what your rate will be.
So okay, I think this probably my last question. I think we slowly have questions trickling in. So when shopping, so for people who are watching now and they're gonna go out and start shopping for banks. I know you had on one of these slides specific things to look for, but when somebody goes to a what is that necessarily that process on a on a just I'm walking into the bank. What does that process look like? Just give us that one more time. What lead because I came back to this slide because I think it's important for people to see what questions they need to ask when they go to the bank. But for you, because I at the end we're gonna put in your information. We're gonna show your information so people can call you and get in contact with you. But for people who are
Send
shopping
me an email.
around, I got your email, not your phone number. I got your email. All right, it's all you good. I got your work email. I have your work your work email on here. But for somebody who's just shopping around, what does that look like for an entrepreneur? And I guess just walk them through one more time uh, what that process looks like when they're shopping around for a good bank.
So say you walk in saying like, hey, I want to open a business account. Now, when you come in to open a business account, there's nothing wrong with that at all. All we would need from you to open that business account is your state corporation paperwork, your SS4 or tax paperwork with your EIN on it, and your ID and social, right? Now, I can easily just open you a small business checking account. Boom, we're good to go. But now, what I'm supposed to do as a banker is so tell me about your business. What's your cash flow look like? These are the accounts we offer. And I'm supposed to go through each count and be in depth with it. Like, hey, if you do this, you're going to get charged this. Or if you don't do that, you'll get charged this. And then I'll ask you about, hey, how's your cash flow going? And if say you don't know yet, that's fine. I'll save that question for later when you come back in because you saw me do my part where I didn't just treat you like a number and open that account. I actually went
Mhm,
over not just your business, but how's it going? How are you doing?
mhm,
What's going on? What's the plan? How do you see yourself operating in the next 3 to 5 months? And then that's how the rapport builds. And you're like, oh man, like Emmanuel cares. This bank cares. They go out their way. So that's how that process goes. But these are the questions that you should also ask yourself before you go in, so you know. I've been in this situation before, right? So when I first started banking, like I said, I was unloading trucks 12 hours a day. I got the job. I'm thrown at a desk. I know how to open an account, but I don't really know how to have those banking conversations. And what I've
Mm.
learned is some customers will ask you questions to gauge your knowledge.
Mhm.
That is the smartest thing you can do because you need to know who is working with your money. You don't
Mhm.
just want to put your money somewhere and they're just like, all right, I got that number now, but I'm not helping you optimize it. And so you need to know the questions to ask to see to gauge who am I sitting across? How experienced are they? Am I willing to let them grow with me? Like they're new to banking. Like I was fortunate enough where I told people straight up, I was like, listen, I'm new to this. All I knew at the time was military and unloading trucks. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything
Mhm.
about banking at all. But I had people that liked me enough to say, like, hey, you know what? I want to work with Emmanuel because not only is he gaining experience, but he cares and he's trying. And then you have those people that, they're just like they know their stuff, like to the T. But how do they treat you though? So that's what it all boils down to. And like I encourage all clients, consumers, customers, know the ins and outs of every financial institution to the best of your knowledge anyway, before you go in there and sit down.
Mhm.
And that's my information. I didn't put my professional email there because, you know, uh
Okay.
I can't
Well, I put it as a banner. I won't use it. I had it as a banner, but I won't bring it in because you got it right here.
all
So
right. Yeah,
that's
yeah. No,
fine.
that's fine. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me, if you want to text me, if you want to shoot me an email, I have no issues with that.
We
If
actually
you
have
call
another.
me,
We have another question that came in. Somebody asked, when you use Afterpay or any of those apps similar to Afterpay, um, can you split the payments, and does that affect your credit?
when you
Or
use
split the.
after,
I guess I'm reading it wrong. It's saying split payment apps.
is that
Does
like
that
one of the apps you use to pay for stuff? Like
Yeah, like when some say for instance when you purchase something online and it gives you afterpay options and you can pay
like
after, or
Klarna?
it gives you that something, I forget one of them, different options for you can pay and separate the payment. Does that affect your credit?
Not if you're using a debit card. If you use a credit card and you separate the payment and you never pay it, then yeah, it will affect your credit. Or if you use Afterpay and I guess never pay, I don't know how those apps. I've never used them. But if you owe anybody and it goes to collections, it will affect your credit. I hope that answers your question. But personally, I've never used like Klarna or Afterpay or anything like that. If I don't have the cash, like if I don't have the cash for it, I typically don't buy it. And
Mhm.
this is coming from a recovering sneaker addict. Like it took me a very long time to get to this point. Like I had tens of thousands of dollars worth of shoes at one point, and yeah, and it was all on my credit card, and I had to work my way to get that right.
Could
So
not be
yeah, if you
me.
don't have the cash, I don't recommend buying it. Um,
Right. Could not be
so
me.
and what's crazy is like I can't even wear the shoes anyway. I wear suits all the time. But yeah,
Yep, that could not be me. I could not do that. So um I think that's all the questions that we have. And it looks like I'm looking at the time. We kept it on time. What's the time right now? It's 7:59. So it's about to be 8 o'clock. We hitting right just the hour. So Emmanuel, I want to thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate this. I this is my
no, I
first
appreciate
time being on here, and
it.
I
No,
and I think
I think that me and you we have an exceptional chemistry. I think it was like a Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker situation going on. I,
I don't want
it
to
was a
ask who is who because I don't know. But no, I definitely agree. I do think we have good chemistry, and I love it, and it's good. And I think we did well, and I think we answered all the questions. So I think we're good. And I'm gonna put your information up here one more time. So so anybody wants to contact you and get in contact with you in banking, any banking questions, or even open a banking account with you at the bank that you work at, they can contact you. And then one other thing I'm gonna toss in for some ITB stuff, some updates for people who are watching. Our Langston team just they're heading back home tomorrow, so we're praying that they have safe travels back home. We are expanding, and we're excited, very excited. We've finished the conversations with the ITB Academy. So if you have not signed up for ITB Academy, please sign up. Go on our website. It's on our homepage on our website to sign up. I think the classes start on October 21st, and they start next Monday. So individuals can go on our website and sign up if you haven't already, and it's completely free. Just go and sign up. We just are going through this. We have our teachers, and we have the Langston professors and teachers coming on and teaching the course. I think even I will be teaching the course, a marketing course. So please hop on and join us and sign up to be on that and be a part of the ITB Academy. You will get a certificate after you finish your courses, and there will be an opportunity to pitch for $1,000 for your company. So we're very excited for that. And then this Thursday, we have another AFP event coming up at the Truist Building on the 4th floor, 919 East Main Street. This topic will be about, I think, healthcare options and your options for healthcare, the different healthcare options for individuals for businesses to offer healthcare through different healthcare providers. So that's this Thursday, and that's with AFP. Dinner will be served. That's at 7:00 p.m. So we love those conversations. Those conversations go, and Emmanuel knows, he's been to a few of the events, and he knows those are very good, in-depth conversations. And the AFP teachers are very happy to have us because we are working, asking questions. And again, if you need any services as far as anything else that we talked about earlier, business plans, anything of that nature, marketing websites, anything like that, please contact us. Go to our website. You can email us at info@inthebeginningco.com, or you can give us a call at 804-468-8141. That is our office phone number. Please do not call us after 5 o'clock because we will not answer. We will not answer. I will not answer. So please. And then you could go visit us on our website at inthebeginningco.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, ITB_incubator, and our Facebook, which is In the Beginning Incubator and Fun, and our LinkedIn is also In the Beginning Incubator and Fun. And if you go to our website, you'll be able to find all of that in there. And that is pretty much it. I think people were saying we did a great job. Thank you. And somebody said they started late. You can watch it, and this replays on our YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch this again, go to our YouTube page and you can watch this over again. Again, if you go to our website, the YouTube page is at the bottom with all of our other social media platforms. So you can just go there and go and watch it, replay all of the webinars that we have streamed live through StreamYard. So please, thank you. You all have a great night. We appreciate your time today. Please have a great rest of your evening. And remember, one last thing, remember to go vote. Go and vote.
And be careful too. Vote, but also be prayerful and mindful. We live in a weird time right now. So being right up top really matters.
Yes.
So before you make any decision, make sure that it aligns with his word first. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So that is good, Emmanuel. You hit it right on the head. Pray, and we need to be prayerful as a community. So thank you, Emmanuel. We appreciate it. ITB, we're going to be ending the stream. Y'all have a great night, and thank y'all.